Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen. You know that song, you know that sound, you know what it means, even though it's been meaning it less and less these past few months. It means it's the weekend. Technically, it still is, but today is Cinco de Mayo 2019, May 5th, 2019. It's about 1:45 where I'm at in the afternoon. How was your week? How'd it go? I gotta tell you one thing. I sort of alluded to this at the end of last week's installment of this lousy show. I'm finally moved into my own place. My lady and I. Technically, I guess we're... Sorry, gotta rearrange this chair because I'm in a new place. Yeah, technically, I guess we are shacking up, but, we're gonna be married in less than 6 months, and, the apartment was one that we just couldn't pass on. It feels good not to be a loser anymore and not have to feel like I have to lie about it. Anyway, yeah, how'd your week go? How did it go? I'm enjoying the exposed brick in this place. It makes it look a lot nicer than it actually is. Anyway. Let's move on with the show. But first, let's go ahead and check in with news for the uninformed. So what do we got here? Top news today. We got anything? Yeah, the past few weeks were kind of crazy. Stop whining about Game of Thrones spoilers and get off the internet. That's funny. That counts as pop culture, I guess. Public remain divided over Trump impeachment in new poll. President Donald Trump, 60% of Americans say Donald Trump has been dishonest in the Russia investigation, while only a third believe the report by special counsel Robert Mueller clears the president of wrongdoing. Interesting. So it sounds like it sounds like it's not over. Whether or not it is, I do not know. It's really not my lane to be in. In sports, last night it was the Boston Bruins over the Columbus Blue Jackets, 4-3. And I was watching it, and it was funny. I figured, Boston's gonna win this thing because when I started watching, I think I watched the whole thing, but it was on in the background. And next thing I know, it's 3-1 Boston with very little time left, and I'm thinking, Boston's got this one. Then Columbus comes back and ties it up 3-3, and I'm like, oh my goodness, maybe they have a shot. Who knows? But then Boston gets out there and wins the winner. I don't know if I've said it before, but whoever wins that series is who I'll be rooting for next. Yeah. So if Boston wins, I'm cheering for them. But right now, I'm cheering for Columbus to beat Boston, even though I would never call myself a Columbus fan, just because a lot of people seem to be jumping on the bandwagon, me being one of them, and I don't want to overstate my welcome. I would never say I'm a diehard. I will say though that hockey playoffs are more interesting than I give them credit for. This is a time of year when it's like, yeah, that's a sporting thing that I can get into and I also like NBA basketball. Am I really going to sit here and act like I'm just rambling to someone who cares what I have to say? I think I am. So, I guess pop culture, Game of Thrones is still a thing right now. Oh, no, wait, I gotta Google that story. Hold on just a second, I have just the story for pop culture. Let me just, Vince Vaughn, hold on, that's the... Vince Vaughn pleads no contest in DUI charge nearly a year after his arrest. Vince Vaughn has pleaded no contest to an alcohol-related reckless driving misdemeanor charge stemming from a June 2018 arrest at a DUI checkpoint in Manhattan Beach, California. The 49-year-old actor was sentenced to summary probation for 3 years, the Los Angeles County District Attorney's Office said in a statement on Friday. Vaughn was also ordered to complete a 3-month alcohol program and pay an unspecified amount of fines. Additionally, while on probation, he cannot refuse a preliminary alcohol screening test. The actor was warned that if he drives under the influence again and a person is killed, he could be charged with murder. The only reason I honestly was interested in that story, I'm not the biggest fan of Vince Vaughn, but he is in that Netflix show that I really like, F is for Family. He's one of the big time producers for it, so I understand. So I think he'll be fine. That's one thing I've always thought about wealthy people, like that famous people who get into trouble for stuff. I'm thinking, is it really that big of a deal in their life? I mean, it seems like it would just kind of be a nuisance, but I could be totally wrong. I mean, there are little things that I might be doing in my life, and someone not nearly as fortunate may think, oh, that's probably not a big deal, like maybe chipping my car. I guess it's not my car, it's a company vehicle, so who cares? Maybe it's like spilling something on the carpet. It's like, oh, you can just buy a new one. Yeah, but it's still a nuisance. So maybe I shouldn't be thinking the way I am. So anyway, back to the rambling of this show. I did move in, and I gotta say, I think I'm really enjoying the place. It is small, and it is a big deal to get used to living with someone. Even I've been with her for over 7 years, so it's not insane of a proposition to have to be doing this. You know, it's not crazy. It's what is it? I don't know what it is, but you know, everything changes when you start living with each other. Fortunately, both of us are kind of neat freaks, so we're on the same page about keeping stuff tidy. That hasn't been an issue yet, but again, I really don't want to sit here and be giving some sort of diagnosis of how we're doing, because the fact of the matter is we've only been together for a week and living together, and in my book that means we're still like in the honeymoon phase of things. So I'm not going to sit here and be like, wow, living together is super easy. I don't know why anyone would ever split up. It's so easy. And everyone's different. So again, I'm not going to sit here and pretend like everything does feel like it's going extremely well, but I can't like commit to that just because it's still the honeymoon phase. What I'm really trying to do here is beat people to the punch who, you know, when you talk to someone and you're doing something new and exciting in your life, and they always have to find a way to try to bring you down with it. Like, oh, well, just wait until this happens. Like, yeah, it feels good now, but just wait for 2 years. You two are going to hate each other. And I'm like, okay, maybe we will get to that point. I don't see the need for you to say that. I mean, let me learn on my own. Let me learn my own mistakes. You got any friends like that who like just won't let you make your own mistakes, and you never want to tell them anything, because if you do, they'll always find some sort of fault in it. It's like whenever you're explaining something, you got to be prepared to be cross-examined by them, and they're gonna ask, well, did you do it like this? Well, if you didn't do it like this, it's gonna be a problem for that. And if you do that problem, well, you don't even want to deal with that problem, and you're just totally fine with the way things are. And I don't know. Couldn't say. That acting thing that I talked about last week, it should be up soon. I don't know when. It's gonna premiere. It's supposed to premiere tomorrow, but I want to see if it was placed up sooner, because I really, really would like to watch it. I think it's going to be good. So, I think I've told you all before that I am big on the elliptical. That's what I typically do for any sort of exercise. But since moving out of my previous place, there is absolutely no room here for any sort of elliptical device. So, I've had to find something else to do. And I think I found the replacement, and it's just running. Well, not really running, jogging. I've worked my way up. I've done it 5 days this week, and I must say, typically I like to do the elliptical for 30 minutes, and I wanted to work up to 30 minutes for jogging, and I did just that. I think it was on Monday or Tuesday. See, I've done it 5 days. I did it today, so I took Friday off. So it would have been Tuesday. I only ran for 15 minutes. Wednesday I ran for 20. Thursday I ran for 25. And then Friday I ran for 25 again. And today, this morning, I ran for 30. And I ran around a downtown area of the town I grew up. Yeah, I'm still a loser who still lives in his hometown. So sue me. It's one of the things that makes me mad when people talk down to other people for not leaving their hometown. It was very possible. We were prepared to move so that I could find the best job opportunity. And I was ready for it, and I was really scared about it. And especially after going to training that I talked about a few months ago, where I just explained, this is not for me. I mean, I probably would have gotten used to it and everything, but, moving is just a huge ordeal, being far away. And it just so happened that this apartment is at a price range where we're going to be able to tackle our student loan debt. I'm hoping to be out of it in maybe 3 years. Who knows? But it kind of bothers me when people feel the need to put other people down for not living far away. Why do you care so much? Why? Why do you care so much? What difference does it make to you? Why do you feel such a need to talk to? It's you're just breaking the golden rule. Come on, man. I don't get it. I don't get it. Maybe it's because I'm insecure. But I'm not insecure about being what I am. Who cares? Who cares? Alright, anyway. That was a pretty lousy rant. But it is what it is. So, what else is going on in the... Could you still hear me through all that? I got distracted by my phone. I am apologetically addicted to my phone. Yeah. I think I read that book even, and it sort of got me through the period where I thought if you read a book on something and it spoke to you, you became an expert on it. And in my case, that was that book, How to Break Up with Your Phone. And the problem now is my phone is for work. I got rid of my personal phone and now just have a work phone. And so it's well, how do I break up with it? It's hard because I work in a field where you're supposed to be responsible. Although I could be taking the social media apps off of my phone. It's probably not a bad idea. I probably talked about it a year ago when I was reading that book. It was a good book. I miss my old place of employment. At that library I worked at. The second one I worked at 2 different libraries. Man, that was in 2017 that I had that interview. Wow, time flies. I've never had a job interview that I wasn't offered. Is that a true statement? Let's go down the list of things I interviewed for and how many interviews I had. The first interview I ever had was at a Kroger grocery store, and I realized, I may have told this story before, I was explaining to the person at the help desk, hey, I'm here for an interview, and she just had this look on her face eh? And then all of a sudden she said to me, you're at the wrong Kroger. And I'm like, oh, that's embarrassing. So I went to a different one. I went to that one and I interviewed for it. And I thought I did all right. I think I did. That was in 2010. It must have been in 2010. The summer of 2010. and they asked, well, are you doing this, are you doing that, and I felt kind of awkward and embarrassed about it, but they did offer it to me, and I turned it down because it was at one further away, and I wouldn't have been able to make the commute for that. And then what other job did I have? Then I worked at another grocery store, and that was in 2011. Okay, well, I could have been working at 2010, and oh, this is a horrible story that's going to make me look like an absolute scumbag. So I had no confidence, and I didn't want to work in a restaurant. I really didn't want to work at all. I was kind of a scumbag about that, and I wish I had a better work ethic, and I think it's gotten better now, but it's still hard to erase old habits. But I've never been fired, if that helps. Um, so yeah, I'm undefeated with if a defeat is an offer. But what was I talking about? So my parents wanted me to take in this application to a restaurant, and I was super nervous about it, and they dropped me off. They're like, no, you're going in, and you're dropping it off. And I did not know who to give it to, and I was so nervous about talking to people about it, and I had no confidence in myself. And so I just went in the restroom and put the application in my pocket, and then left and told them that I did it. That was one of the scummiest things I've ever done. And it really reflects pretty poorly on my character. But hey, you live and you live. I guess that's all I can say to that. So obviously never got an interview for that. I don't know if that counts as anything, because I didn't go in for an interview, so I'm not counting that one. You can tweet at me if you disagree. Then I interviewed for another grocery store, and I was able to take this position because I was driving, and I could get to it. And, I didn't like that job. I didn't hate it, but I liked parts of it. There was pushing carts, which I liked. That was my favorite thing to do, was to push carts. And, I wouldn't mind going back and doing a shift on that. Those were some good times, and I'll still go back to that store every now and then, and it's sort of like a walk down memory lane. I worked there from the beginning of 2012, 2013, 2014, to the beginning of 2015, because that's when I got my next job at my next interview. And I remember this one, which was for a library position, and I nailed the interview. These were all really easy interviews. I've really never had a difficult interview. All of my interviews have been very easy. Then after that was in 2017, where I graduated that school, went back, and I got another interview at another library, and I was super nervous about that one. And in fact, I think I'm wearing the shirt that I wore to that interview now. But what I've always loved about working in libraries is just that it's a do-nothing job. I mean, I'll go and shelve books. That takes like 20 minutes per hour of I can sit there and do homework while I'm there. So, it's always been a very pleasant experience working there. And then after that, I had a co-op interview, got offered that. And then my first ever real job interview, I got offered it, and hey, I'm still kind of nervous about it. I want to do better at my job, and I'm halfway through the shadowing period, and I'm definitely above where I've been before, but I still got a long way to go, especially if I'm going to be on my own. This past week, I got sent on my first call by myself, and I definitely felt like a bit of a sitting duck. I showed up early, not a full-time, but an experienced engineer was showing up later, and he was a little later than expected. I was fortunate enough that the health center, hospital, whatever you want to call it, is an outpatient facility. They were extremely kind, but I think they got the vibe that I really didn't know what I was doing. And they would not be wrong in assuming that. or in thinking that. And, I learned a lot, though, from that lesson. I learned what I can ask, what's within my bounds, what's not within my bounds, what I can ask about, what I can't. I think I said what I can ask about and what I can't twice. I enjoy taking road trips. I think I told you guys about when I was in Chillicothe, Ohio. That's an interesting town. All these small little towns that are kind of interesting. So this week, I went to my first rehearsal. I'm still playing bass for the community choir. Man, do I suck. I'm not good. I'm really bad at bass. Apparently, so I think I told you guys, The Wedding Singer is one of my favorite musicals, and I saw it live. And the guy who's playing drums with the community choir played drums for that show. And, I shouldn't be saying this, but, yeah, you guys are going to be able to pin down. If someone really wanted to, I think I've given enough evidence that someone could pin this down. But no one's listening to this, so it all works out just fine. It wasn't the drummer, it was the guitar player. Oh, look at that, a lie. I'm trying to throw you guys off. Maybe I am, maybe I'm not. I'm not going to tell this story. But anyway, yeah, I'm playing, and I can remember how awkward rehearsals can get when everyone kind of sucks. The drummer doesn't suck and the piano player doesn't suck, but it's hard to rehearse music like that when there's not a choir there to sort of... The choir is what sort of puts you in gear. And man, I'm just not good. My brother bought a new guitar, and it drives me crazy because it's a beautiful guitar, but he won't use a pick. He uses his finger. Even when he'll be soloing, he'll use the top of his fingernail to play notes. We're playing Smooth with Carlos Santana, and he's going do 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 or whatever. Yeah, he's using his finger to play that lead. I'm like, what is your problem? Why are you doing that? Why would you do that? I don't know. It's his own style, and everyone's different, but it would sound better if he learned how to do that. I gotta hit the pause button. Alright, I'm back. Hold on. Yeah, I gotta wrap this up. I got about 7 more minutes to kill here. After this, right now, my lady's bridal shower is going on. And she kept asking me to go, and I really didn't think I was going to. But people called me, and my mom asked if I would, and one of her friends asked if I would, so I decided I'm going to. I went and got some flowers, and I put them in a vase, and I'm just gonna, so I don't walk in empty-handed like a dilt. And, if it'll just be a moment to, make her friends jealous or something, I don't know, that's what women like doing, right? Look at me, making ignorant statements like that. Running's been good. I'm a little nervous about walking in because I hate being the center of attention on things, and that's why it's not just that it's really a girl thing to do to go to these things. It's just that I don't like being the center of attention, and so going there will obviously make me the center of attention, and I am not at all looking forward to that. So I'll do what I can with it. I'll try to be charming. I'm just trying to make her happy, okay? Blame me if you want, I don't care. Acting a little defensive there, aren't you, James? So last night I watched this movie, and I heard it's horrible. I don't consider myself to be a prude, but yeah, it was just the comedy was not there. The movie Porkys. I got about halfway through it. I'm just alright, that's enough. It's got a cult following, but it must be the vulgarity. And I like vulgar movies, I do, but they gotta have a good story with it. You know, like if a vulgar, what's a good example of a movie that's really vulgar but that's also really good? I don't want to say Harold and Kumar Go to White Castle, although I did enjoy that film, but I wouldn't hold it up as a great piece of cinema. Oh, geez, let's think here. Let's think. Okay. Clockwork Orange. The movie's incredibly vulgar. It's got rape in it and everything. That's what I should have said as the top news story. Facebook removed, what's his name? Louis Farrakhan, Milo Yiannopoulos, and Alex Jones, as well as a few others. Oh, and Paul Joseph Watson. They all got banned from Facebook. That's what should have been the top story. I'm stupid for even suggesting otherwise. So who knows? Who knows? Let's see. I got about 3 minutes left to kill here. One thing we noticed when we moved in is we have way too much cat stuff. We've got it's just there's a lot of cat stuff, and I don't mind some cat stuff, but when you're in an apartment this small, and you have the level of cat stuff we had, it's like, eek, okay. So I insisted we turn some pillows around that had cats on them, because, you know, like I said, I like cats. I think cats are great, and I think dogs are great too. I don't think that should ever be an either or thing. I think cats have more personality than dogs, but dogs are more affectionate, and I don't know. Dogs are easier to train. Cats sometimes just seem completely indifferent to your existence, which can kind of be a bummer at times. You gotta find a cat with a good vibe, if that makes sense. So, yeah, I'm about to walk there. It should only be about a 15-minute walk. I think I might be dressed like a dork right now, but hey, she knows what she's marrying. I am pretty much a major dorkington. Man, you blink and you're in the future. I remember as a kid one time I was like, oh, why can't I just grow up? Why can't I just be an adult? Why can't it just happen now? Bam! It just happened. I'm talking nonsense now, just for the sake of filling up these last few minutes. Mother's Day is coming up, so I gotta put in some effort to get a decent gift. And it looks like I really can't order anything that'll guarantee to be here by then. I've been eaten alive by insects when I've been jogging, and I don't want to jog near the wilderness now because I get all these red rashes, and yeah, I've got them now. It's not a big deal. It's really not, but yeah, that's another thing about going to these bridal showers is I'm gonna be the only dude there, so it's like, what? It's just an uncomfortable situation, if you ask me. But hey, 2 people independent of the bride and the bride herself asked me to stop in. So you know what? I'm stopping in. I'm not gonna stay long, but I'm gonna be in there. Okay. Okay. Hopefully the walk doesn't. It shouldn't take too long. Let me put it in my phone. These last few minutes. Man, you ever watch that show To Catch a Predator? That show is really hard to watch. That thing was a ratings machine. I wouldn't call myself that. That's what they'd call it. I think they did good work, but I hope that Chris Hansen doesn't think he's like, I'm such a good person. No, you were just a part of it for the ratings, and you did a good thing. I think the ratings came first. I don't think they would have been doing that if it wasn't on TV. But I do think it had a good effect on what happened. Alright, that's going to be the show for this week. Thank you so much for listening. You've been listening to The James Freel Show, and tune in next week when I talk about other random stuff that I did this upcoming week. Alright, bye.